All right, welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely honored to have you here today. What we're speaking about is why avoidants ghost you, and we're going to be going into some understandings on this subject that they don't even know about themselves. Okay, this is obviously going to be a really deep subject. There's a lot of people that have entered into relationships with avoidant types of people and then have completely ended up abandoned or even betrayed or just completely ghosted without getting any form of closure or any form of response. And that's a really tough thing to go through, especially when you think you had something with someone. But what I'm going to do in today's video is I'm going to really break this down so you can truly understand what's happening here. And this will better be able to help you process what it is that you experienced with this person, or if this is a pattern that you've noticed multiple times before, it's going to help you better understand this pattern as a whole. So if this is something that you are interested in learning a lot more about, then I highly recommend that you stay tuned, and I will simply see you on the other side. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's talk about it. So when we look at the avoidant archetype, the avoidant type of person, the first thing that we want to understand with this is why are they behaving, acting, and responding in the way that they are? Why are they avoidant? Why is it when I try to get closer to them, they seem to get farther away from me? They become more avoidant. Okay, it's almost like two magnets, except when you flip them around and they start to repel each other. That's pretty much how the avoidant operates. So once again, the question is, why are they doing this? Is it something that you're doing to them? Are you a bad person? Did you say something wrong? No, not necessarily. Most of the times, the reason why this is happening is because the avoidant has a deep fear of intimacy, and they have a deep fear of being vulnerable. And this is, of course, rooted in early childhood trauma. And one of the protective mechanisms that they've learned how to develop was by disconnecting from things in order to survive, to protect themselves. So I want you to imagine that you're just like, let's say you're a 10-year-old boy or you're a 10-year-old girl, and you have a really overbearing parent that's always telling you what to think, always telling you what to feel, always telling you what you should do, how you should act. And it's just so frustrating, and it's quite traumatizing because obviously this is a parent, and this parent is supposed to be a healthy guardian for you, but they're just making your life so chaotic and so stressful. So then you get to a point where you're like, what do I do about this? So the avoidant at a young age says, all right, well, the way that I'm going to keep myself safe in this trauma, in this overbearing stress, I'm going to detach. So every time my mom or my dad comes in the room, I'm gone. I'm leaving. All right, I'm going to go outside. I'm going to go play. I'm going to go to a different room. I'm going to go disconnect because I don't want to deal with this overbearing energy. I don't want to deal with all of this stress all the time. Okay? This is some of the origin points of the avoidant protective mechanism that an avoidant person has in their system. Now this 10-year-old boy girl ends up becoming an adult. Now they're an adult. Let's say hypothetically they're about 30 years old. Okay? They may attract a relationship that is actually a safe relationship, a potentially healthy relationship, but the person who has that avoidant pattern, when they start to experience a form of intimacy, a form of real love and real connection, what is that then going to trigger? It's going to trigger vulnerability. And whenever vulnerability is triggered inside of a person, that naturally comes with the repressed emotions from early childhood trauma that then start to come to the surface. So, in other words, the avoidant wants to be loved, they want to love another person, but they're oftentimes afraid to feel and afraid to process the repressed energy from their early childhood trauma. Hence, that's why they're more so avoidant. They're actually running away from those feelings by being avoidant. And you might be the person that's triggering that level of vulnerability inside of them, even though you don't have intentions to hurt them. Okay? This is really important to understand because that's why the avoidant is doing what it is that they're doing. So the question is, why is it that an avoidant person will completely ghost you? Okay, because there's a difference from being in a relationship with someone who's more avoidant and they're working on it and you're just kind of seeing it show up here and there, compared to someone who just literally ghosts you. They just disappear out of your life. They don't give you any closure. They don't help you understand what just took place. They just disappear. Okay? Why does that happen? The reason why that happens is because there wasn't enough time to build real safety with that person. So if you got completely ghosted by someone who's avoidant, I can almost guarantee you were not grounded in your authentic self. You were not grounded in your central self state, and you were most likely an anxious, attached type of person. So the avoidants tend to attract the opposite, which is the anxiously attached. It's just a different type of trauma response, a different type of protective mechanism. But if you're at the point where you're getting completely ghosted by an avoidant person, it pretty much is a clear indication that you were a strong, anxious attached, because that level of intensity of wanting vulnerability from another person who's avoidant, who hasn't developed enough trust for you yet, and quite frankly speaking, you haven't developed enough trust from them yet, that can basically bypass a lot of what they feel like they are able to even experience. So I want you to think, like, I'm trying to give you an analogy to understand what I'm saying here. So you have the avoidant attached person. The avoidant part of them is like a security guard. When you are overly anxiously attached to an avoidant type of person, you are bypassing that security guard, and that security guard is not happy because, once again, that security guard's role is to protect the person from the feelings of their early childhood trauma. So when you bypass that security guard to such an extent or to such a degree, and then the avoidant recognizes that inside of their system, it's basically like you're crossing a boundary with them that they didn't give you permission to cross, and then they end up ghosting you. Now, I'm not saying by any means getting ghosted by someone is appropriate and that it's your fault for getting ghosted. That's not what I'm saying at all. Actually, matter of fact, if someone's ghosting you, that says a lot about their character, and it says a lot about where they are in their inner process. In other words, that person was never ready to be in a relationship. So that's not even someone that you want to keep pursuing or hold an attachment towards. Okay, because people who just ghost you like that, that's obviously not a healthy thing. That causes a lot of hurt for other types of people, leaves people feeling betrayed and abandoned, etc. No one should be doing that. Okay? But all I'm saying is the reason why someone would ghost you, it's pretty much a clear indication you are an anxiously attached person and you were overly attaching to this avoidant person and you were wanting them to be more vulnerable than what they were ready for. And you were pushing that boundary, and then their protective response kicked in and said, at all costs, abort the mission, abort the mission, abort the mission. And then they ghost you. And to be honest, it's nothing personal. It's not like you said a certain thing. It's not like you're a bad person. It's not like, you messed up. It just is they were too afraid to face themselves. That's why they ghosted you. And then the question also comes back to you, the person who got ghosted. And now it's like, why were you attracting a person who wasn't even ready to be in a relationship in the first place? Why were you attracting an avoidant person who was willing to ghost you? That's where it comes down to your trauma and your need to have to self-reflect on your role in the entire experience, because you do play a role in that whole thing. There's no need for you to attract someone who's that avoidant, who's willing to ghost you, and trying to get them to see you and to love you. These are all things that you need to do on your own, and you need to start validating, seeing, hearing yourself and healing your wounded inner child so that you're no longer going to be in resonance with another person who would even be willing to ghost you. So once again, the person who ghosted and you who got ghosted, you were both wearing masks. You weren't being your authentic self, either of you. That's why it simply didn't work out. There was no room for that deeper soul connection and soul healing together. Rather, the soul healing took place through the catalyst of the separation, through the person who ghosted and the person who got ghosted. All right, so hopefully this is able to give you a clearer understanding of this type of dynamic here, which obviously is a really challenging dynamic to experience. And I know the pain of this type of experience as well. I know it's not an easy thing to go through, and it can be really painful, but you have to recognize the emotions that are getting triggered for you in this separation. And let go of the person, because if they ghosted you, that shows enough about where they are in their process. You have no reason to be attached to them or to be chasing after them. Obviously, you're going to do what you want to do, but I'm just trying to give you some advice. You need to let that person go because they're not your person. Okay, do your deeper self-reflection and be willing to sit with and accept the emotions that are now getting triggered in your body with that sense of abandonment and that sense of betrayal. There's probably a lot of grief, a lot of sadness, and also a lot of shame that you're feeling. I'm not good enough. Why did they leave me? Did I say something wrong? Blah, 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 blah. You know, why would they do this to me? You have to feel all of those feelings and build a relationship to those wounded parts of you, because that's what they need the most. Remember, you were anxiously attached because you were trying to get another person to see your wounds and to heal your wounds or to validate your pain, but there's not ever going to be another person that is going to do that for you if you don't know how to do that for yourself first. And you're only going to end up hurting yourself and getting into these toxic cycles over and over and over again if you can't learn this lesson and surrender to what is actually real for you, to your central self authenticity. All right, so this was the main message that I wanted to communicate. Hopefully this could help offer a different perspective for those of you that have been ghosted by another person. Hopefully this can offer you the value that you really needed to get through this process and understand how to better integrate. All right, if you did get value from this video, hit the thumbs up button. That lets me know. Drop down into the comment section and share with me specifically what you learned from this, and if this is something that happened to you. And if it is something that happened to you, let me know how you're processing it and how you're working through this situation. How are you viewing it now after receiving this message? Okay, hit the notification bell, get notified whenever I'm posting. I am literally posting every single day, so take advantage of the content. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, because by subscribing, you are further energetically connecting to everything I'm teaching. There literally is an energetic component to that. Now also go ahead and copy and paste this link and send it to someone that you feel like needs to hear this message. And make sure you check out my Patreon. On my Patreon, I have exclusive content, everything between spirituality and self-development. I have an entire collection section that is called the Trauma Course, which will take you from start to finish on everything you possibly need to know from an educational standpoint as well as a practice standpoint to process your childhood trauma and then start regulating your nervous system, opening up your heart again, and changing your resonance. I highly encourage you to check it out. You can even join the Patreon starting for free, but then getting into the other tiers for the exclusive content. Check it out. Tier number 3 of the Patreon is very unique. This is actually a ritual that I perform every single month. Because of my background with the occult, I understand how to do remote energy transfer to actually help you go deeper into the stored, trapped energies that are in your body and release them up to the surface so that they can properly be worked with and integrated. This is a level of energetic science that most people don't understand, and of course most people don't know how to tap into. And this is something that I've been doing for a little bit over 4 years now, and it's very effective. There is literally about 200 active members that are participating in this monthly ritual that is once again helping to surface repressed energies in the body so that then they can be integrated and worked with in a healthy way and then released from the system. As that's taking place, you're grounding more into your central self. That's changing your resonance. And as I said, that changes everything else around you, energetically speaking, because what's going on internally, as within, as without. Okay. And I have the collection section trauma course and a specific collection section just for the ritualistic participants that is called the Universe Beat Ritual Process, that is meant to support you going through this whole journey of initiation. So if that's something you resonate with, definitely look into it. That is tier number 3 of the Patreon. Okay, all of it, first link below. Second link is where you book one-on-one calls with me, or you can also jump into mentorships. I have a 6-week and a 3-month mentorship. Most people book the 3-month. I am currently working with people from all over the world, all different walks of life, okay? If you are someone that is looking to work with me one-on-one to get my support to help you process this early childhood trauma and then also help you to create a foundation specific to you to regulate your nervous system, I would be honored to support you in that way. Now, once we have that foundation in place, then we can also start talking about Kabbalistic initiation that supports the healing process. All right, I would be honored to connect with you in that type of way as well. So second link below. And then the third link is the YouTube memberships. I would love to have you as a YouTube member. Go ahead and join the Universal Mastery Collective. With all of that being said, we're going to wrap it up here. I appreciate all of you very, very much. And I hope you all have an amazing rest of the day or night, wherever you are. And I will see you in the next video. Peace.